you will look at it and go, oh, I know how they did that.
Hey, Wiki Hunters, welcome to the Art of Photography podcast, where we share our passion and we share how our passion gives us hope, purpose, and happiness through photography. So today we have someone very, very excited. I'm very excited to introduce this person. See, I can't even speak properly. And he's a celebrity, I think. Celebrity hasn't made it to the Oscar yet. I'm pretty sure you'll make it there very soon. But I'm sure a lot of you have seen him before. If not, you will get to know him and you can check him out. But Dunna, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, it's great. I mean, like we met like last year in Lake Louise, and I remember you were looking for the PD clip, the peak design
Yeah.
clip.
Yeah, I had lost my peak design clip, and I'd lost I'd lost a strap too while I was there. I
Oh,
lost all
yeah.
sorts of peak design stuff while I was there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm glad that we keep in touch because yeah, when I started this podcast, I was like I was straight away thinking about like like he was like, man, like what is he doing? What is he up to? And you just had on your recent birthday you reached a big milestone there. So you want to tell us a little bit about that? I mean,
Well, the
congratulations.
birthday, yeah, the birthday I got verified, I think, on YouTube is what they call it, where you get the little check mark beside your name. But yeah, sometime handful of months before that, it has to be 6 months now or something like that. I crossed over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is very exciting to think that there's enough people to fill a couple of stadiums that like to watch my stuff, which is pretty nuts.
Man, that's amazing, isn't it? I mean, how did it all started? Like, how did this all like sparks and how?
I mean, honestly, like my full-time job is I'm a music producer. I have a recording studio here in Edmonton. I make music basically, and I record for people and mix and master their music and that kind of stuff. And I think that started because obviously I love music, I love being creative, that kind of thing. But then you do that for so many years and answering to clients and you I kind of needed something else to be my creative outlet outside of that. Not that I wasn't like having fun or anything at work, but it was always like at the end of the day, after I had made music that somebody else asked me to make for 8 hours, the last thing I wanted to do was make more music. And so then my creative outlet kind of felt like it had been not taken away from me, but like it was being used for something else. It was being used for work. And so I started to really get into photography and videography and that kind of stuff, and was really fascinated by the world of like YouTube vlogging. So I started the channel as a vlog channel. I started it with just the intention to just kind of show off what I got up to every day, and I kind of kept the studio out of it a little bit, which is a weird thing to say, to show off what I do every day but keep my full-time job out of it. But whenever my wife and I would go on little trips and stuff like that, I would make videos. Or if we went to IKEA and bought a new couch, I would make a video and like that kind of stuff. And eventually I wanted to increase the quality of the production, and I started like I was always learning and that kind of thing. And so you start learning about cameras, you start learning more about, I mean, I already knew a lot about audio at that point, but audio specifically for video and editing and those kinds of things, and started to learn about that stuff and get really obsessed with not only the videography side of it, but because we so many people are hybrid shooters and so many cameras are dedicated hybrid cameras where you can shoot both video and photo, I started to get really into the photography side as well. And so I ended up, I started talking about that on the channel. Like I think kind of unintentionally at first, I started babbling about, you know, I got a new camera or I got a new lens. Like hopefully the videos should look better now. And, you know, I'm excited about this new software that I'm trying or something like that. And then eventually it was like, now here's a tutorial on this software and here's a review on this lens. And it just kind of blossomed from there. When I started to see people really enjoying that content, and I think the way that first of all I was someone who was learning, so they could connect with that. But second of all, I think the way that I put it forward is somewhere in between being really technical and being really like approachable and easy to understand. So it's like it's good for people who want a little bit more than just the very basic thing, but it's not so extreme that it's going over their head. So I kind of fit right in that middle space there. And I think that when I found out that I kind of had that skill for teaching in that way, I really kind of laid into that, and I really enjoy it as well. And I enjoy the feedback that I get from people. And yeah. So that's kind of the story of the channel.
That's amazing. So you started in music. Wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like I could totally relate. Like, you know, it's really hard sometimes, especially um, do when you work for when you work with something that you're passionate about. Sometimes you really need to differentiate, you know, between the hobby side and then the work side. And you know, like it's still a really hard distinction for me myself. How do you actually differentiate that, like between, you know, because like you had that burnout in the music, right? So how did you not, like, you know, have that again? How do you prevent that?
Yeah, and I mean it's something that I constantly have to kind of keep in check. And I mean with music, the way that I differentiate it is I picked something else to do. I don't catch myself making music just for fun very often anymore. It's kind of become my job, and I have fun at my job. I have more fun at my job now because I have another creative outlet than I was before. um and so it's one of those things where like I just literally picked something else to do, and that seemed to do for me. And now it's because YouTube has gone where it has gone, and now it's like a source of income for me as well. You start to think of it as a job. But I think the big distinction between YouTube and what I was doing with music is that with music there's always a client. There's always an artist in the room who says, here's my song, I want you to make it sound like this. No, I don't like that, do this. No, I don't like that, do this, kind of thing. And so then I'm kind of always like answering to somebody. Whereas with my YouTube videos, with the exception of like a couple of like sponsored segments and stuff like that, which really like I've never had any sponsor tell me that I needed to make a different video. They might ask me to change some wording on how I talk about their brand or something like that. But for the most part, I get to make videos that I want to make. So there's nobody really to answer to in that regard. It's mostly like I have a list of videos that I want to make. And if a sponsor approaches me, that would, I guess, technically be my like client. Is like if a sponsor approaches me, I say, okay, do you want me to put your thing on this video that I was probably going to make anyway? Like it's really like I've become the artist that I work with in the studio. Their goal as a musician, as an artist, is to create a song and have enough people want to listen to it that they can make a living at it. As a YouTuber, I basically say, okay, I'm going to create a piece of information or art or whatever you want to call it, and hopefully enough people want to watch all of my pieces of art or information that I can then like make some kind of an income off of it. So there does feel like a significant difference between my day job and my side job, which is the YouTube thing. Because, and again, it comes down to that control. Like I never have to ask anybody like, hey, is it okay if I make this video this week? It's like, I just make whatever I want. And some of them do great and some of them don't do as well, and you move on and you make another one.
And that is awesome. Like I mean, like I could relate it back to like when I was an engineer, you know, like as an engineer, you do get a little bit creative when you do problem solving, but at a certain point, you know, your boss just tell you, no, you just follow the procedure, you follow A, B, and C, and then you stop being creative. And I can totally relate to that. And I think that last bit that you say, that you get to do things for yourself, you know, like you get to choose the client that's aligned to you, right? That is probably the big thing that that I hope the listeners get it, because especially with photography as well, you know, like when I first started photography, I was not shooting for myself. I was recreating images from Instagram instead of shooting the photo that I want to do, what I want to take. And you know, for that reason, I was just everyone else. And you know, nowadays there's a lot of photographers who kind of just started, and they kind of follow or fall into the same trap, and then they ask themselves, how do I create photo that is, you know, stand out? Well, don't follow anyone else, create your own perspective. So that's amazing that you say that. So yeah, awesome. So how does everything mash together between like photography and videography and music, because you do it all, like, you know, like I don't know how you find the time for it.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm a schedule blocker. So like my Google Calendar has little blocks in it, and I have to schedule everything out basically. And yeah, it's a lot. And you know, it's a constant struggle. And some weeks, because like it fluctuates so much. Like some weeks will be really busy on one end and some weeks will be really busy on the other, and you have to be willing to kind of give up a little of one for another, and that kind of thing. So it is a lot to deal with, but it's also a lot of fun. And you know, you just figure out what your balance needs to look like, and what needs to be sacrificed and what doesn't. And I'm also like I think I'm a really hard worker, so it helps that I want to do it, and I feel best when I feel accomplished. So if you know, I'm working hard and getting lots done, that's when I'm happiest. So it kind of works out for me. Yeah. And then like I'm also really strict on like I take time on my weekends. I spend those with my wife and that kind of stuff. And every once in a while I'll need to take a little bit of that time and you know, put it towards a busy week or something like that. But for the most part, it's like I try and kind of keep that balance, and that keeps me sane.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's you know, I find it really hard. That's one thing that I struggle the most, is trying to find a balance. Um like, so like, take us through, like, for example, when you were in like Lake Louise, how do you take photo and video at the same time, because you only got two heads, right? What does it look like when you're out there? Do you just like do one or the other, or you know?
Yeah, I mean that it comes down to a lot of pre-planning, and kind of deciding what is the main focus of today. And usually there's one or the other kind of thing. So like I don't even remember when we were in Lake Louise. Oh yeah, so I had one thing that I needed to shoot there, which was I was supposed to be doing this trip to Italy, with that, like people could sign up for, and I was going to do some workshops, and it was going to be a bunch of people and stuff like that. So I had like one promo video that I was like, okay, cool. While we're there, I'll shoot a little bit of video, but the main focus is get that. And then everything else, I was like, everything else, I'm just going to focus on photography, because if I don't need video for anything, I don't just like shoot video for no reason whatsoever, or very, very rarely anyway. Like every once in a while, I'll just shoot it just in case. But usually I'll kind of have an idea going into it of like, you know, what do I need out of this? And so for that specific weekend or whatever it was, a couple of days that we were there, I knew I needed that one video, but I needed to like be at a location. So we like did this little hike and ended up, I don't even remember where it was that we hiked to or whatever, but that was going to be the thing. I did my little blurb. That was all the video that I really needed. Everything else, the rest of the way was pretty much just photos. And so then like, and sometimes it'll be the other way around. Sometimes it'll be, you know, what I really need out of this is a bunch of video to put over a voiceover because I want to do this motivational video or something like that, or I need to test this lens in video mode. And so like I'm gonna, you know, take all this video, and then any photos that I get are kind of secondary. So it's usually one or the other takes priority, and I try and decide that ahead of time, and that makes it a lot easier. And usually I just shoot it all with one camera. Like I carry a backup camera because I am worried that something will happen and I'll need it. But generally I just shoot it all on one camera, and I just like constantly switch between modes for whatever I want to get. And yeah, so it's mostly about trying to decide ahead of time, like what do I need out of this outing kind of thing. So yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I wish I've talked to you about this before, because when I was doing a trip around Indonesia and Australia, I had a drone, and it was always like, drone, camera, photo, time lapse, and you just go like, which one? It's like, I forgot to do this. But yeah, you're right. I think if you can like plan and just have that pre mindset of what you want to achieve, that would work a lot better. And I mean, like, seems like you really organized about all this. Like, you always like this, or did you like learn it kind of along the way?
This took a long time to develop. Yeah, yeah. There were a lot of times where I would, let's say we would go down to Banff or something like that, and I would be trying to like, okay, everywhere that we stopped, I would get 2 shots of B-roll, and I would talk to the camera once, and then I would stop and take 10 photos of that thing, and then like we take 25 steps up the hike, up the trail, and I would do it all again. And it, first of all, it got really annoying because it, you know, what should be like a 45-minute little walk or something like that would take us 5 hours. And second of all, what would happen is I would miss opportunity, or not so much that I would miss opportunities, but I would have half a video, and I would have not quite enough photos to make a set. And because I was too busy doing one to get the other, and too busy doing the other to get the one, you know, and so then like I didn't have enough video to make something out of it, and I didn't have enough photos. Photos are a little easier because you can shoot like 10 photos and still get something, if you know you're pretty handy with your eye and stuff. But yeah, it's so generally I'll figure out if there's an opportunity for, now anyway, this is something that I've learned. I'll figure out if there's an opportunity for a video, and if not, I'll probably just shoot photos. And that's generally kind of how it goes, because if there's not like somewhere that I can post a video or something that I can do video for, then like generally it'd just take up a bunch of hard drive space and be video that I'd never use. I don't sell stock footage or anything like that. So yeah, yeah. But I'm pretty much always shooting some kind of photos one way or another. Even if I am shooting videos, I'll usually shoot a couple of photos here and there too. So
Man, I've got so many drone footage from that trip. It takes so much space, and I hardly touch them. I only touch them when I really need it, like something, when I need to create promotion and stuff. And I always tell myself that, one day I will go back to it and do it. But, making a video is a lot more effort than just making, like, editing a photo. It's crazy. So I haven't really got into it. So yeah, I know
yeah.
exactly what you mean. And yeah, look, for wiki hunters at home who's listening, I think this is really, really valuable. Whether or not you only do it for as a hobby, or when you just do it for side income, or even you want to do it full time. It's definitely one of the hardest thing to do as a creative, especially in this technology era, right? So
Yeah.
do you have any inspiration that get you, you know, going or get you to where you are right now? Is there a particular person or a particular photo that that you know you remember when you started or whatnot?
Oh geez. I mean, when I first started on YouTube, the Casey Neistat was a huge one for the like vlogging side of things, and kind of the crossover between vlogging and like really nice high quality storytelling kind of thing. Like it was different than like people just on their phones. He was using like the Canon 80D or whatever, and like it there was shallow depth of field and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that was what got me interested in more of the, not just telling a story but also doing it with a certain kind of quality and a certain kind of flair and vibe to it. So that was a big one. And then yeah, honestly, as far as photography goes, I mean, I have lots of people that I like now, but I can't think of anything like off the top that was like a huge like inspiration for me. I'm an Instagram photographer 100%. Like I don't, my photos don't really go anywhere other than Instagram. So like I'm scrolling Instagram lots and you know seeing what the trends are and that kind of stuff. And but my biggest inspiration is learning new techniques, I think.
Oh,
So like as if you were to scroll through my Instagram, I'm sure you could probably even see it. It's like, oh, he's in this phase right now. He learned this one thing and now he's overdoing it like crazy. You know, like he learned about whatever, like long exposures or something, and there'll be like 9 long exposures in a row on my feed like 2 years ago or something like that. And then you know those kinds of things. So it's like it's really like my biggest inspiration is the hunt for new knowledge and the hunt for learning and that kind of thing. So I think that's really what drives me, especially I think in the photography space. Whereas like for the YouTube side of things, when I'm shooting most of my videos, it's almost passing on that knowledge is a lot of it. So yeah.
yeah, that's really interesting because that's how I learned. You know, I was too lazy to read or you know to watch 10 minutes video. So usually, I would I would know exactly what I need to learn, and I would just watch that tiny bit of it, and I would try, and it's
Yeah.
like, nope, I need to watch the next bit of it. And yeah, it was really funny. I had to go a lot back and forth. But it's when I first started photography, it was because of a Milky Way shot. It was just I can't remember which one it was, but there was a Milky Way shot that I saw, and I was like, I want to be able to take that photo. And then like that was it. That was the mission. Like that's how I got into photography. That was that one shot.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it's always interesting. So if you were to like choose between photography, videography, and you know music, where would it all sit, and how will it all sit?
Oh man, if I had to pick one of them, is that what you're saying?
Well, how you prioritize, you know, if you go like, when would you prefer one compared to the other? Because I'm sure everything have their own time, right? Like you enjoy things differently at different time or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as just like creating some kind of like art or whatever, like I find photography really rewarding in that way. Like I feel like I make, so my video work primarily is my YouTube videos.
Uh-huh.
So I don't really shoot a lot of like client work or anything like that. Like it's primarily just YouTube videos. Every once in a while I'll shoot a music video here and there. But the photography is really like the one thing that I just do because I like posting it, kind of thing. You know, like
Yeah.
the YouTube videos, like of course I enjoy those too, but there's kind of like a transaction there happening with my audience. Like it's like they're expecting a video, I put out a video, we have a conversation about it, that kind of thing. Whereas like I take tons of photos that never get posted or anything, and it's like I enjoy that process a lot. There's very little for the way that I do it anyway, there's very little planning that goes into shooting a photo. You know, like most of my photography and stuff happens while I'm out, and I'm just capturing what's happening around me. I don't plan on, you know, a set or a costume or a, you know, like some like portrait photographers and that kind of stuff, or concept photographers or whatever. So I quite enjoy that because it kind of feels like almost like a state of meditation. So maybe that might be at the top, which is, it seems like a funny thing for me to say, because I do consider myself like a videographer before a photographer. Just, I think out of the sheer fact that I shoot more videos, I shoot a video every week, I don't necessarily get out and shoot photos every week. And so then it seems weird to say that, but yeah, that, I guess that would be the top. And then I don't know. It's tough. It's tough not to put music at the top because I've been doing it for so long. Like since 2005, I went to recording school in 2005. I have 3 college diplomas in music related fields. I was nominated for a Juno for a record that I produced a couple of years ago. Like, so like it's a huge part of my life. But just again, like it's like it feels more like the 9 to 5 right now. Like I get to be creative in it and I do enjoy it, but it's not the thing that like is driving me forward right at this very moment kind of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
don't
really,
know if I actually answered your question or just
no,
babbled
that's,
on for a while,
yeah,
but
that's actually perfect. It's like it's like a drip, you know. You kind of like have the music seems like your more like work and obligation, and a little bit of happiness and passion and creative side, I suppose. And the
mhm.
video is like in the middle, and then photography is kind of just like fully recreational, and you just do whatever you want with it. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
which
that's,
is funny because even just the way that you just laid it out there, like audio and music and then video feel very connected to me. They feel
mhm,
like almost like the same thing, but then with a visual aspect. And then on the other side, photography and video kind of feel like they're connected, but
yeah.
just, you know, the video is just with an audio aspect. And so it's like video really does feel like the mesh of between the two. You know, it's like photography is like capturing a moment, audio is like capturing a moment over time, but only in the audio part of it, and then the video kind of combines it all together. So yeah, it really does kind of like have this flow thing going on, and from week to week it changes too. It's like some weeks I'm just super inspired to make music, and then other weeks I just, all I want to do is make cool videos, and then the next week all I want to do is, you know, shoot photos. And yeah, so it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think the way you put it is really is spot on. I mean, I I I kind of predominantly take photo, and then I take a little bit of video. And now because like I don't have a lot of drones and stuff like that, and I'm not very good with the handheld camera thing because I don't have a gimbal or anything like that. And so I do a lot of time lapse, which is kind of like, you know, like just a bunch of photo put together makes a
Yeah,
video. So that's, yeah, that's really interesting, man, and
yeah.
that's awesome. So like, I mean, like, you know, we're I think we're going back, sorry, coming back to the end of the podcast here. So what if you were to kind of give a little bit of advice to someone who just started, and I think someone who's interested on both, you know, videography and photography, and because I know a lot of creatives out there really love it, but they just kind of don't know where to start, and they're overwhelmed with things like trying to learn too many things. What sort of advice would you tell them, and you know, how should they approach them?
I mean, I would say to learn basic stuff first. And the nice thing about photography and videography is that a lot of those basics are the same. They might have different guidelines, but learning things like the exposure triangle, and how to use your shutter speed, ISO, and aperture in tandem with each other, are the rules, or the, I shouldn't say the rules, but the guidelines are the same, or the information anyway is the same, and then the guidelines for photography versus videography might just be slightly different. And so I think that really, like, if you're not sure yet, you're like, okay, well, I like both of them, but like, I don't know if I want to make, I might not have time to do both, or like it's frustrating trying to do both. Like, you can learn the basics of both of them at the same time, and you're not really learning two things. You're really only learning one thing. So I think really building up your foundational knowledge is kind of a great place to start, and not worry too much about, like, about getting into advanced techniques. We all want to jump into that kind of stuff, but if you really learn your kind of foundational stuff, um, honestly, it makes it easier to even figure out those kind of more, advanced things. If you have all the foundations down, and then you see a photo that has something cool going on in it, you will look at it and go, oh, I know how they did that, because I understand these foundational ideas. And I'm sure this could apply to anything. I'm sure this isn't just photography and videography, but I definitely find it that way. So yeah, like learning kind of your foundational stuff, I think is really a strong place to start. And whether that means, looking up YouTube videos, or taking online courses, or reading books, or whatever the best way that you specifically learn, but don't hop over those foundational things, which I think a lot of people want to do. They want to learn how to take the Milky Way shot as their first photo. They want to be able to go out in the middle of the night and hit the Milky Way shot without understanding what a long exposure is, without understanding how it works, and understanding noise and ISO and all those kinds of things, or what equipment they need, that kind of thing. So I think really getting a grasp on that foundational stuff is the way that I learned. And luckily there's a lot of overlap between audio, the post-production side of audio and video. So a lot of that came really easily to me. But as far as like getting good images and stuff like that, I was basically starting from scratch. So I think that learning that foundational stuff is really where I would say, like, focus a lot of your time on that, and the rest of it kind of falls into place. You'll accidentally stumble along a lot of fun things that will take you a lot of places if you get that other stuff down first.
Yeah, that's really funny, because you just talked to me about 3 years ago. I just go, it's like, yeah, straight away Mickey. I was like, no, I don't know how to do that. Yeah,
I
so
did it too. I think we all do. Yeah. So this is me warning people who are just starting out, that they need to do some other stuff first.
yeah, that's cool. Right. So like, I want to ask you one last thing. And I think you're a perfect person to ask, is you in the YouTube field, you're competing with many other people, and the thing is that you need to stand out, right? And that's the thing that a lot of photographers is asking, right? How do you create something that stand out? How do you create something that is unique, that is noticeable and different from everyone else? So yeah, do you have any advice on how to set yourself differently and be different?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, especially as more and more people pick up cameras, or more and more people start YouTube channels, or whatever. But I mean, the it kind of comes back to what I was saying before, is like, if you learn the foundational stuff, then you can put your own spin on it. If you don't learn that stuff, and all you learn is how to copy other people, let's say you learn how to take a certain type of photo because you watched a tutorial where somebody walked you through it step by step, kind of thing. And all you know is how to do that. You don't really know how you got there, or why it worked, or any of that. You just know how to take that photo. Then all you're going to be able to do is copy that person, and you're not going to stand out. Whereas if you really focus on those foundational things, you can then, it's almost like a recipe. if you understand how to use all of the ingredients, you can then put your own different amounts and different flavors on it, and you can make your own recipe out of it. Whereas if all you know how to do is follow somebody else's recipe, then you're not going to stand out. But if you don't, again, if you don't understand those flavors, you don't understand the spices, that kind of stuff, then you'll never be able to get to your own recipe. So I think, again, it really comes down to understanding your foundational knowledge about this kind of stuff. And then again, like I do always tell people to copy other people, and not because not as like necessarily your swan song or whatever, but because there's so much learning to be done from borrowing from other people. And give credit, if you're going to blatantly like copy someone as a learning experience, give credit to that person and that kind of thing. Don't pretend like you invented it. But at the same time, like, you can learn a lot from that. And eventually what's going to happen is you're going to, let's say you copy 15 different people over and over and over again, and you're learning and you're learning and learning. Eventually what's going to happen is you're going to develop your own style based on all of the things that you learned from all those other people. So it's, the biggest thing, I guess, is just time. Right off the bat, probably in your first bunch of years, you're just gonna look like whatever you're learning at the time. And eventually you're going to develop your own style out of it. And the only way to do that is to give it time.
Man, that's amazing answer right there. I think you're right on it. You know, the two recipes, by I think a lot of us, especially when we just started, it's normal to follow other people because, like you say, we don't know what we want. We don't know what's good, what's bad until we kind of experience it all. So yeah, I think you're right. But like, being able to understand that foundation, then it will help other like you to kind of break down what you're doing so that you could reconstruct it slightly different. Or, you know, like you say, you might be able to take 15 and then you create your own thing. So man, that's really awesome advice there. So yeah, like man, it's been a good like 40 minutes, and I wish we can talk all day, and I'm sure the listener would love. There's so much wisdom right there. So but like I don't know if I even should ask you this, but if for those of you who want to find you, where should they find you and how?
You can find me at dunnadidit.com, or on YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter. All of them are /Dunna Did It. So youtube.com/Dunna Did It, twitter.com/Dunna Did It, instagram.com/Dunna Did It. Come say hi. I'm still pretty good about answering all my comments and DMs, so hit me up and let's chat.
Yeah, that's I mean, I'm sure if you just put it on Google, Dunna Did It, I'm sure it'll all pop out.
Hopefully I'm doing good enough there. Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know if I should ask you this, but like, thanks a lot for sparing your time. And you know, I'm sure you have a busy schedule, so it's, you know, you've given us a lot of valuable not only lesson but also inspiration, you know, to work to get to where you are right now. And you know, the fact that you have to put it out there and just keep at it until you get there, I think that is a massive inspiration, especially for, I think, for creatives like us. You know, it's really hard sometimes to make it out there. So yeah, kudos to you and congratulations, man. Like yeah,
Thanks
it
so
looks
much.
like this year you made so much progress. So cool.
Thanks a ton,
But
man.
yeah, so well, Wiki Hunters, hopefully that is, you know, you find not only one or two, but a whole 40 minutes of wisdom right there. And yeah, think about that. Like, you know, apply that to your creative side, whatever it may be. But it's very important, like he said. I think the one thing that I would really want to stress is that being able to separate between what you have to do and what you want to do, and just keep creating for yourself. You know, even though sometimes you might need to get that post that you like, and or, you know, get that video that people will engage and like, but never forget to create for yourself. Well, thanks a lot for tuning in, Weekend Hunters, and I'll see you guys next week.